Hello, I'm Rich Lee. I run Radioactive PR, and we have looked at PR's role in link building, basically by looking at all of our results as an agency over the last 12 months, and I wanted to run through it. Radioactive PR is a PR agency based in Gloucester, England. As I say, they're the unofficial capital of PR. We work for consumer clients, we work for business-to-business clients, product, services, personal PR clients, you name it. We as an agency, as a generalist agency, I guess, we don't specialise in any particular subject or sector. We work on multiple brands, companies and individuals. And as the slide says, we sell on two main things. I think when pitching, we sell hard on results, and the measurement obviously backs up the results. So whether it's a strategic launch campaign, whether it's just retained PRs at press office PR, whether it's creative stunts, social media management, crisis management, or anything else that the client might potentially come to us with, it's all about results and it's all about measuring those results. So I think one thing that we sell well on is PR for SEO, or as it says there, link building. As an agency, we are 5 years old in December, been doing it since day one, and I've been personally working PR for SEO arena for about 10 years now, and the bit you don't see there below the video is that at any given time we're working on kind of 15-ish projects and retain clients, sometimes less, sometimes more. And one thing we wanted to do was look at our link building results over the last year. A few different reasons why. We wanted to find out the number of pieces of coverage per month as an agency, per quarter and per client, to give us a benchmark, I guess, for future quarters, months and years. The number of links per month that those pieces of coverage got per quarter, per client, and the link to coverage percentage. So that's both that we operate at as an agency and per client. For me, it's a case of, if we get a piece of coverage, how likely is it as a percentage that we've got a link in that? I think is something that a lot of clients ask us. We've used Coverage Book to track every piece of online coverage for the last few years, maybe 3 years, 4 years or so. And as you can see there, 14,000-ish pieces of coverage across our clients in that time, particularly online coverage. We don't put every bit, broadcast or print or anything like that in this necessarily. So I went to its insight section to break the data down by month, and as you can see there, we looked up to the 16th of each month. So I started this last week and then exported it. And I ended up with 12 spreadsheets with data that looked very much like this, thousands and thousands of rows of data, thousands and thousands of columns of data, which obviously needed a lot of sorting. And then I went through each spreadsheet to total that data up. So as you can see in this particular one, the totals row for that month. I didn't really bother with estimated monthly visits or estimated coverage views. We totted them up, as you can see, or the coverage views, but it's much of a muchness. Clients don't particularly care, we don't particularly care. It's kind of a guidance. It's like those opportunities even to see that that you used to see in PR reports, or possibly even still do, where it's like 7 billion people saw this story. Not did they? Domain authority, that does matter. So domain authority being a score from 0 to 100, looking at basically a site's effectiveness from a search perspective. So that month was 64. That's good going from an average perspective. And social shares is something that I'm intrigued by, and something that we should keep a close watch on for clients. So that month we had 100,000 social shares of coverage that we'd got for our clients. So I then totaled and averaged those monthly totals to find our quarterly results for the last year. You can see the number of pieces of coverage, the estimated coverage reviews, which again isn't massively important, but it's kind of indicative of how we're doing. The average domain authority per quarter, and as you can see there, 53 is our lowest, which is good going. And that's mostly because we get a lot of 80s, 90s for clients on a monthly basis, and total shares of coverage per quarter as well. And as I say, right there in bright red, this has always been the case across PR since I've been in it. It's about 12 years now that I've been doing it. Summer months was a tiny bit quieter, journalists are harder to get hold of. Damn you, summer holidays, damn you. And importantly, we looked at the number of links we got from coverage for clients through PR each month as well. and totaling those links up per month, which then gave us our per quarter, we were able to work out our link to coverage percentage, which for us as an agency is going to be something we use going forward as a benchmark. It's something I've never seen across the industry either, so hopefully it makes for interesting viewing. You can see there, so quarter one, the link to coverage percentage was 2/3 of pieces of coverage would have a link, but then second quarter that we identified that we were doing the report on was close to pretty much every piece of coverage had a link, and then it's more. Whenever a client asks me, what's the average, in your experience linked to coverage percentage, I'd always say kind of 75-80%, and it kind of bears itself out there, quarters 3 and 4. And then I graphed it, and this is what it looks like. You'll see there that we had that big quarter 3, that March to May. We had a few more stories going out. We won a few more clients. It was a big couple of months for us. Really excited, really proud of that. A quieter summer, as I touched on, but I think what clients often want to see is consistency. They want to see that as an agency, you don't just have a big hit and then a couple of months go by and then you have another big hit of coverage for one client that you can then shout about. It's consistency, and that for me as well as an agency owner, I want to see that. It's easy to look at your coverage and think, how are we doing this week, this month? But you kind of forget what's come before it. That old thing of you're only as good as your last story. Well, that's what I wanted to show with this data. I wanted it specifically so I could see and the team could see our results, obviously in the last 12 months, but in particular just to demonstrate that to see from a link perspective, from a coverage perspective, how we perform. And you can see that on a quietest quarter, we're still pulling 1,000 links in. Nearly 1,300 pieces of online coverage. So really happy with that. And then with that, I was able to pull together an average quarter. So we can see there, we're getting just shy of 2,000 pieces of coverage in an average quarter. Average DA of that coverage or those links is 57. Total social shares, around 130,000 social shares of our clients' coverage. So nearly 1,500 links and a link to coverage percentage on average of 81.3%, which we just would have had no idea had I not spent the time doing this. And I then average this out across the clients that we work on for link building or PR for SEO. So we can actually look at kind of average client performance, because some people come in, they say, can you get us hundreds of links a month? Some people, they come in and their goals or KPIs are quite low, and we're able to say, actually, for the time that we're spending with you, we can do better. So as an average, we've worked out we get 76 pieces of coverage per month per client. This, bear in mind, is average, and as I say at the bottom there, plenty of caveats. Some clients pay less, some clients pay more. The more time we spend on this, the more the more we're doing for a client, obviously, the better the results will be, which averages out to 62 even links per month. That's at that DA57 average, 5,500 social shares of those stories per month, of which 81% has a link. And what about follow ratios? So follow links are massively important to clients. We know that. There obviously has been the recent news about user-generated content, sponsored, and no-follow links, or rel equals no-follow links, being potentially used as hints by Google. So that's exciting. That's something that means that a lot of PRs and SEOs, I guess, could potentially breathe a sigh of relief that there's some value in no-follow links. But if we're looking purely at the coverage we've got of the last 12 months, what about follow ratios? As I say here, 6,000 links is a hell of a lot to go through manually, and I've had to go through it manually. So took a sample size of 200 pieces of coverage and links, checked each, and found 72% of them are follow links. Not bad going. And I thought at this point it's worth mentioning that buying links that pass page rank, so link equity, it's a violation of Google's guidelines. As you can see there in red, buying or selling links that pass page rank could be considered part of a link scheme and a violation of the Webmaster Guidelines. Now, you'll be penalised. Nobody wants to be penalised by Google. It can cost you a hell of a lot of money. We've seen it happen with clients and potential clients even that have come in and said, hey, we were doing this, we've been hit. So what does Google say there? Additionally, creating links that weren't editorially placed or vouched for can be considered a violation of our guidelines. So conversely, links that are editorially placed are welcomed by Google. And these slides will be made available. You can see there in the bottom right, just to the left of the video, a link to those guidelines. And I think what I'd like to do now is compare, despite the fact that it's against Google's guidelines, compare publicly available, publicly visible pricing for SEO services that guarantee follow links. So yes, you shouldn't do it, but people do. It's common practice, as I said in the last slide. Our average DA, just as a reminder, is 57 for the year per quarter. And as it says there again, we're getting multiple 90 plus for clients every single month. So it's a case of, we're able to get links that you just cannot get through link buying. This publicly visible one, you see on the right, offers DA 40 plus links, starting from £130. And this one, yet another publicly visible review, even of a year's worth of link buying. You can see there, so this person bought 75 links, cheapest link $63, most expensive $363. The average link cost $151, spending over 10 grand on links in a year. So again, when I say this is commonplace, this is very commonplace. Some people will be watching this thinking, yeah, that's even part of our marketing budget, we budget for that. So as a pound value, works out, so £121. The last one, DA30, this one is kind of annoying because in the review it didn't show an average domain authority of the links bought, but £121 on average was the cost of a link to this person. And this one, you can see here the DAs on average, added all those together, divided it up, and it averages 56. So 56 is as close to our average of 57 as I could find prices aligned to publicly. And you can see from a pricing perspective there, a little bit more expensive, average price $279 or £224 7 pence at the time of writing. So this person spent on average £224 per DA56 link. And that's really useful to us from a benchmarking perspective. Again, we've never done anything like this. I don't think the industry's seen anything like this, certainly using publicly visible SEO or link buying data compared to PR data. We get an average number of 62 links per client per month, 45 of these being follow links, based on the 72% of links are follow links, 81% of pieces of coverage has a link. 45 links times that £224, at that was the approximate cost from the last slide of a DA56 link, would cost you £10,083.15. So to get our average results per client, bearing in mind for some clients we get much more, you'd have to be spending at that rate more than 10 grand just to get that. So Google says don't buy links, we'll penalise you if we find out, and also says editorial links, yep, we encourage those. That's what PR is. PR is all about editorial links that are going to be useful to the readers of those, those pieces that we do get, and ideally send some traffic to. So that's before anything else. You're spending 10 grand just from a link perspective to get what we get on average for clients. Now, I'm not, at those numbers, I'm not talking out of turn to say that the average client spends nowhere near that per month with a PR agency, nowhere near. But again, it's not uncommon to get 100 plus links for some clients some months, and for those clients maybe they are paying a little bit more, but again, they're not, they're still getting much better value than you would be through a practice. It's so common still. And that's before, again, you even consider the reputational benefits of PR and the brand awareness benefits, the traffic, and even the customers, and we'll get onto some case studies, the editorially earned links can send your way, the fact that you can retarget to those visitors through paid social, through Facebook, through Instagram. So once we've got visitors to your site, you can continually then, let's say we get 10,000, 20,000 visitors to your site through smart PR, through good link building PR, well, we can retarget and hit those people again on their social feeds. And again, and most importantly probably, great PR isn't just about getting links. And I think sometimes when clients come in from a link building perspective, they think that's all it is. For me, it's PR is how do we reach target audience and make them do or think what we want them to do or think. And as cynical as that sounds, it very, very often is just a case of how do we get them to think that your brand's the one that they need to be spending their money with, or that your company is the one that they should be, they should be invested in some way, or even PR from a charity perspective, it's donations from public affairs, or from a from the perspective that you want to get people on side, that you want them to think what you want them to think. Good PR can do that, and that's nothing to do with the link building side of things. I think one criticism, if I was watching this, would be, sure, this all sounds good, but this is just outputs, not outcomes. And I've talked a lot in things I've written online, in my book, Myths of PR. I talk a lot about measurement and outcomes, not outputs. An output is a piece of coverage. An outcome is something that actually comes as a direct result of that. It's no good anymore just to get yourself on the Sun, or brilliant, you're on BBC Breakfast, what does that actually do? So what I've done is I've put together a few examples of our approach to PR for SEO and the measurable benefits. And I've also said there, and again, I'm going to be posting these slides, on our agency blog, we share a lot, and our homepage even, we share a lot of case studies, all with a measurable, outcome-orientated review almost of that piece of work. So we're really proud of it. Do have a look. So this work, we work with Hopper HQ, they're an Instagram scheduling tool, and every year for the past 3, we've done something called the Instagram Rich List, kind of a Sunday Times-esque take on how much people earn as Instagram influencers. And 2019 was our 3rd year doing it. We started in 2017 with Hopper, did it in 2018, did it in 2019. So in the summer just gone. So in 2019, we got 250 pieces of coverage, including those linked pieces there. 60% linked to Hopper's on-site content and or homepage. The average domain authority of the site's linking was 71. But importantly, within 2 days of the story launching, the text is slightly obscured there, but again, slides will be available. The rich list on the site had 32,000 views. That's unique views, and that's compared to 20,000 in 2018. So a huge increase, a bit more coverage, huge increase in the number of people that actually hit the site to read the full report. And the most important thing for us is that Hopper gained new service users in the process. That's hugely beneficial for any client. Obviously, some traffic that converts into paid users is absolutely cherry on top. For our client Bark.com, they're a local service marketplace. We came up with an idea around the final episode of Game of Thrones for a counselling service. So Bark has a huge number of counsellors available across the UK. So we thought, well, maybe there's some fun editorial mileage in this story. You might have seen it, and it did very, very well. So well, in fact, that I feel okay doing puns that bad. Anyway, so we got about 350 pieces of coverage of UK and international coverage. This one did incredibly well globally, which is fantastic from a link spread perspective, with pretty much the majority linking. And as you can see there, that's an actual grab from analytics. As an agency, we always ask to be invited to client analytics. It's odd to me that you wouldn't want to see the impact of your work, especially when a client has Google Goals set up, and you can see conversions too. So 18,000 plus visitors, with on the right hand side there you can see transactions, 371 going on to become customers. Now that any conversion is beneficial from PR for SEO, but the fact that as a percentage, that's quite a high transaction ratio to 2 sessions for a PR for SEO bit of work. And the average domain authority of this website's linking was 75. So not only did this story get shed load of coverage, loads and loads of links at a high average DA, it also sent a lot of visitors that could be retargeted to, but also a number of them went on to become customers. So incredibly happy with this piece of work. Well, here's a campaign we did for, this is our 3rd and final campaign that we're going to be looking at for childcare.co.uk. They are the UK's leading childcare website. If you need a nanny, an au pair, a babysitter, etc., go to childcare. Millions of people already do. You can see there in the bottom right, actually, just to the left of the video, that we've written all of these case studies up for the website. Again, these are some of the ones that you'll find if you go to the site. And please do have a look. There's more information than is within these slides on those. So in this campaign, this particular one, we created an anti-bullying self-defense class campaign for kids. And it was all born out of a survey story we did with childcare that found that more than half of parents are most worried about their children being bullied. So we used that as a hook, and we arranged a partnership between childcare.co.uk and the Jiu-Jitsu Foundation. One of the team actually has been doing Jiu-Jitsu for years and years. So we arranged a partnership to offer free self-defense classes to kids, scheduled to go live in time for Anti-Bullying Week. And with that opt-in mechanic, which is fantastic from a link forcing perspective, from a link building perspective, we targeted parents of young children, and the first 500 members that registered their interest would receive a 3 months worth of classes for their child, which is an incredible, kind of an incredible partnership to broker, and as a team, incredibly proud of that. We've got 100 plus pieces of coverage across national and high domain authority regional titles, with the vast majority linking, average DA 72, so that's very high. And 6,000 parents opted in. So post GDPR, it's incredibly difficult, but also important to companies to to manage their data well, but also to get new opted in members and kind of members of the database, and with a boost of 1,000 new members to the site. So it's something we're incredibly proud of. And as a piece of work, it just it works from a beginner, middle, end, and it works obviously, as you can see, from a measurement perspective. I think one thing we do is we also track site visibility of clients, and this is one of our clients. I think we looked at their site visibility a little while back, but if you look at that graph, you can, I would hope, see where we started working with them. There's a blog that I wrote there about about SEO, the 3 pillars of SEO, measurement, and basically what we do. That graph was from that blog. Please do go and have a look, and you can see there their paid the paid visibility versus their organic visibility, and the blue line being the organic, and site visibility being a measure of how visible a site is for tranches of keywords, or tranches of keywords that are important to them especially versus competitors. And again, search engine performance can be hugely impacted. You can see there on the left tiers of and tranches of keywords for that same client that we from that site visibility graph that you just saw. In green are the ones that they're winning on, and you can see there's only one that they're not, from the tranches of keywords that we've worked with an SEO agency to put together. In fact, the SEO agency fantastic at this. That's why we also love working with in-house SEOs and SEO agencies, because they're phenomenal from a technical and a keyword perspective. I think where we come into our own as a profession is truly in that editorial link building side of things, and if you work together, then the results can be much stronger than trying to work against each other. For some reason, PR and SEO has this kind of weird rivalry where SEOs think we can do what they do, PRs think we can do what they do. I've got no designs on being a technical SEO person. What they do blows my mind, but what we're good at is coverage, knowing from a creative perspective what's going to get coverage, what's editorially viable, interesting, and also then measuring how that actually performs. So as you can see there, when these two things come together, it works an absolute treat. And again, we've got plenty more case studies on our homepage and blog. So those three, they're all outcome orientated, yes, but we've got plenty more that we highlight regularly. So some weird and wonderful, more creative, predominantly link building orientated. And that's kind of where stunts fit for us now. It used to be the case that clients would come to us with a 6-figure budget and say, what can you do? Now that's not always going to happen. It's what can you do for no to low budget, and very often, because it's so tightly tied into digital marketing, it falls under this remit. Some with a more serious message. We did a campaign for a client about a smear test campaign, to encourage women to kind of get out and have smear tests done. Some simply using client data to create useful tools that kind of sit as almost anchor content that rank well, regularly drive traffic. So it's then not just about the editorial or PR benefit of, it's people are searching for these tools and using clients' data. Some clients have millions and millions of data points. Well, if we can find a hook in that, if we can find a reason or a way to create a calculator or a tool out of something, and then even editorialize that, we will, because not only can we drive traffic, if you go through, click through, you'll see what I mean about that particular story or that particular tool. We don't just drive traffic through the PR itself, but also kind of in terms of longevity, because it's actually useful data. People want to see it, they need to use it, they want to use it. And I've talked a lot about measurement. One thing I've done is actually started so it's now the Radioactive Group, and Radioactive PR is a company under that umbrella. Radioactive Talent is the second company, second limited company under that umbrella. And what Radioactive Talent is, it's almost like a talent agency in reverse. We work with brands first to identify streamers, influencers, content creators, and basically publishers, and we work out kind of affiliate marketing orientated ways of working with them from a performance perspective. So we'll work on cost per lead, cost per quote, cost per acquisition, sometimes on placement, or a mix thereof. But the main benefit to clients with that is that it's, like I say, that performance piece is important to them, that to certain clients that that their budget goes that bit further, and if they're earning, we earn. And that was very much a case of me just listening to clients when it does come to budget time, sitting down and saying, right, PR, all of these benefits, absolutely, but you've got a performance budget, can we support you in that? And I think that's the end. Hopefully this has been interesting. I think for me, it's kind of scary putting this out because we're setting ourselves up to be judged massively. But again, as I say in that, I'll be damned if I lose client budget, because they see something shiny over there and think, well, we just didn't speak up and and show our results. I think they should be and probably will be judged positively, because I genuinely believe that we're very, very good at what we do. I think we're absolutely. We do fantastic work for clients, and it helps now, having benchmarked this, and might even potentially help you guys, that when we go out and the client comes to us and says, hey, I want 150 links or nothing, or I'm not coming on as a client, we can say, okay, that's fine, we can do that, and here's the amount of team time we'd need to spend to do that, but here's our average, industry average. Who knows, again, this is the first benchmarking report as far as I know of its kind. Here's our average, so average spend is this is what you could expect. So you spend more time with us, you spend more money with us, this is these are the results you could expect, kind of factored up. And I think it is important to say PR is not just about column inches anymore. Again, in the industry, we all know that. We all talk about AVE and say that it's no good anymore, that it's not, we all talk about the peso model and that mixed that kind of mixed marketing model. Well, the fact is, this is hugely important to us as an industry, I think, and if I can add to the conversation, further the conversation, then happy to. And again, I touched there on the UGC sponsored no followers, a hint towards SERPs. Who knows what impact that's going to have, but we'll be checking, we're going to be looking. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully this has given you something to think about. If you would like to get in touch, I'm on Twitter @RichLeePR, and also you can't see my email address there, but it's just rich@radioactivepr.com. If you want to chat, if you want to talk to us about your needs, or if you just want to query something, then just get in touch. Hopefully it all otherwise makes sense. Thank you very much. Goodbye.